All right. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome, Alyssa. We are live today. And hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Bulow with Revive Upper Cervical Chiropractic. And I was just chatting with you, Alyssa, about this. Almost every Tuesday, we like to go live with a patient of ours. And we just kind of call it our hashtag Revive Testimonial Tuesday. And it's just our way of introducing you to one of our folks that we've been helping and taking some time with. And Alyssa, how long have you been a patient of ours?
Since the beginning of August.
Yeah, so it's been a few months now, and it's been really cool to see kind of your journey and how you've done. And so I think it was last week I chatted with Alyssa and I said, we got to do one of these videos. So if you don't mind, maybe just share a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself to the folks, and just kind of like who you are and how did you come to become a patient at Revive?
Sure. Hi guys, I'm Alyssa. So day to day, I'm a bartender full time. And back in, excuse me, my voice is coming and going again.
Yeah. I've been there this year, yeah.
Back in June, I actually had just moved to Pittsburgh, and about 3 days after I moved into my house, my car was T-boned and totaled.
Yeah,
and from there, I mean, it was an adjustment. I thought I was okay because I, got out of the accident fine, and they took me to the hospital and did some scans, and there really wasn't too much on there, no broken bones. I had some burns up and down my arm and a couple like cuts on my face and my arms and everything, but I walked away fine, and there was no physical damage to me otherwise that I knew of. And I didn't remember the accident happening though, so that was the big issue at hand was that.
Now, did someone run into you, or did you run into someone else?
They ran into me.
Yeah.
My car was stopped when they hit me, and they hit me.
Driver's side or passenger?
Driver's side.
Wow.
Yeah, luckily, because I wasn't moving, they hit the front of the car right before the tire.
Yeah.
Still T-boned the car, but since they hit the front of it, it kind of just spun. And I had my dog in the back seat too.
Wow, oh my goodness.
So the dog's okay.
Yeah.
I was seemingly okay, but the EMTs wouldn't let me look at the car. So I actually hadn't seen it until a week after I got into the accident because it was so bad.
Yeah.
They didn't want me to see it that day.
Yeah.
But I was in shock anyways and didn't remember any of it happening. So they took me in an ambulance to the hospital, and like I said, they did all those scans and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't find anything.
Sure.
I just didn't remember it happening. So a few weeks go by, and then I was getting the soreness after the fact. I had never been in a bad car accident, so I didn't realize the extent of it. The people warned me, it's going to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it just got worse and worse and worse. And my memory didn't really come back. I never remembered the accident happening, but in everyday life, I couldn't remember doing things. So when I initially went back to work, a lot of my job is, taking people's orders and remembering things.
Yep.
So I would take someone's order and turn around and go to ring it in and not remember what they got.
Wow.
And so for the first it was for the first 2 months, I think. It was really hard.
Yeah.
Because that's most of my job is, talking to people and then remembering what they have, and even just drinks in general. And I couldn't remember anything, and it was so frustrating, and I would get these really bad headaches. And physically, I just, I couldn't turn my head towards, past a certain point. And every day, physically, I just didn't want to get up and do anything. I wasn't seeing any of my friends. I remember one of my friends, he was the only person that, would come over and make sure I was okay because I just wouldn't leave my house because I didn't feel comfortable doing so. I wasn't comfortable driving, obviously, but even physically, I just didn't feel comfortable doing things, like even just getting up and going grocery shopping because it would just hurt.
Yeah.
Everything hurt, and I was getting sick over and over. I think you remember some of the times I got really sick.
Yeah.
And I would go to a doctor, and the doctor would tell me there's nothing wrong with me. And so I was like, what do I do?
That's what I was going to ask you was what different treatment options did you try, and what was the outcome in that period?
Actually, when I first had come in, I was seeing another chiropractor, and she was fantastic, great person. I saw both her and her husband ran an office out in Bellevue. Excuse me. And I would go 3 times a week initially, and it almost seemed like when she adjusted me, I would just get up, and it's like my bones would crack, but I'd stand up and felt like everything just went right back to where it was before.
Sure, yeah.
So it almost felt like it was counterproductive, and God bless her, she's fantastic at what she does, but for me it just wasn't helping because I would tell her, this is where I feel my pain. I feel my pain. I remember up here or, in my shoulder over here somewhere. And she would almost tell me that it was just a residual effect of being in the accident.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't tell me that my pain was directly related to the accident. She would say, okay, well, maybe it's from this or this. She couldn't really give me an explanation to what was going on. And so at that point, it got kind of frustrating. And I was talking to Shane, who works for Snap, and he was telling me, listen, you have to go see Dr. Bulow. He's different than everybody.
Shout out to Shane. Shane's a physical trainer at the local gym there. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable. But please, go ahead.
Yeah, he's great. But, you know, he told me, listen, you have to go see Dr. Bulow. He's different than these chiropractors you've been going to. He practices differently, and, you know, the area that he's working on, it seems like that is what's bothering you the most, and I really think he can help you. So I come in here and, you know, go through the initial, the review and everything.
I was going to say, the decision to come here, I think, is an interesting thing. Because I think we've hit on a couple things here. Number one, a lot of people have car accidents where if nothing is cut or broken, right, and you go to the ER, they want to make sure that there's nothing vitally broken, right? No strokes, no bleeds, no broken bones. And probably like most people, you're sent home with maybe a script for muscle relaxers or just not even anything,
so
right?
take some ibuprofen and sleep.
And the problem is that the research shows you can get, when you have an accident injury like this, it's going to damage soft tissue. Like there's plenty of research that shows that. You might feel okay, but the soft tissue is not the same as it was before the injury. So I think that's an important thing that your story kind of illustrates, right? The other thing is, it seems like it affected a lot of your day-to-day, not just pain, but just personal interactions, memory, job performance. It's a lot of patients that we see in the post-concussion world, you know? And then you've been to Standard Chiropractic. Was there anything else that you had tried? Any medications that you were on or any other kind of therapies?
No, I really don't like taking medications. It's just a personal thing of mine. So everything that I could do to avoid going to a doctor and taking a medication, I tried to. You know, I took the regular ibuprofen. I tried Tylenol. Sometimes I would have to take ZQL, NyQuil to sleep.
Okay, gotcha.
But other than that, I mean, mostly just looking at the things I was using day to day. So just recently I bought a new pillow to sleep on.
Taking care of your spine. And
you know, things to try to avoid having to go take medications. But other than going to the chiropractor, I was pretty hesitant about going to see somebody else because after going to, you know, I've had a couple concussions before. So in my mind, it was just, you know, I had a pretty moderate concussion, and then on top of it, I've had pretty bad ones in the past. So most of the symptoms I was experiencing from, you know, my experiences in the past, like I said, I thought they were just going to go away. And so for a while, I was just waiting and waiting and waiting. And instead of going away, some of them got worse. Some things did go away. You know, my memory after coming here started to come back, and, you know, day-to-day things became easier. But for a while, I was just sitting and waiting and just seeing if those things would go away, because I don't really like going to the doctor, especially for things like that.
And that was the other thing I was wanting to kind of hit on, is that most people, by the time they come into a place like our clinic here, they've been to doctors and therapists. And as in your case, they've been to other chiropractors. And so the psychology a lot of times is that, well, I've already had that done. You know what I mean? So I'm curious what your perception was in terms of how do you, as you recall, or how do you recall your first couple of appointments here? Like, how did you experience it all? What were some of the things that you appreciated in those first couple of appointments after getting started, and then how you've been doing?
So after the intake exam, I actually called my mom on the way home, and I was like, Mom, this doctor is awesome. Like the first thing I told her was that I think this is really going to work because he actually explained where all my pain is coming from. And that was huge, because when I was in the accident, like the day of and all the months following that until I came in here, nobody had any answers for what was going on. And it was so incredibly frustrating, because I'm like, I know my body well enough to know there's something that's off and it wasn't there before. And, you know, I get that there is a snowball effect, and sometimes you have that one big thing that happens that just kind of makes all those little things happen afterwards. And, you know, they may have been in my body before, but it was never as severe as it was after it happened, you know. So I called her and I was like, Mom, listen, you know, I've been going to these doctors, because I told her my frustrations with going to the chiropractor that I was going to, and not the chiropractor themselves, but just the fact that I didn't feel like I was making any progress. And spending all that money on it, you know, you want to make sure you are taking strides and getting better. And I told her, and she's like, okay, we'll wait until after your first appointment and see how it goes. Because I'm an optimist, and I like to think that
I'm with you.
You know, everything is all great all the time. But same thing, I called her after the first couple of appointments, and the first one, I was like, Mom, this is the weirdest appointment I've ever been to in my life. And she said, why? And I explained to her, you know, how we did the intake exam and everything, and how you showed me all the 3D scans after the fact, and we sat down, we talked about it. So I've never had a doctor talk to me one-on-one before he actually did any sort of treatment
Sure.
to tell me what they were doing and to show me, you know,
Sure.
this is what's wrong with you and this is how we're going to fix it and this is how you're probably going to feel, and it might not feel very good. You know, people aren't that upfront normally, and
it's not that the treatment doesn't feel good. It's
Your body after.
as your body heals. Yeah, a lot of it's kind of like going to the gym, where if you go through a lot of changes very quickly, the next day, you know, things have changed, right? But the actual, how would you describe the actual adjustment, the upper neck adjustment, to someone who, because most people, some people are a little bit afraid of going to the chiropractor, especially if it deals with the neck. They, you know, they've heard stories or they've had experiences, and I think innately most people just understand the importance of the neck. And so, how would you describe the sensation or how that works?
So you lay sideways on a table, and your body's all in neutral position. Mine, I have to lay on my right side because the damage is all over here, and you literally just, it's like he takes his thumb and just twists, and you don't hear anything, you don't feel anything other than the head of the table drop below you. This is what I explained to my mom too. It's the weirdest thing. I was like, Mom, I think he does some sort of voodoo magic, because all he does is like twist his thumb. And there's no sensation that you feel. And you just lay there for a second and let everything reset, and then you go lay in the room for like 20 minutes or so. And that's strange to me too, is that you just lay there and your whole body kind of resets itself. And that was so bizarre to me the first few times. Like I said, I called her every time I came in, but I left. I was like, Mom, I feel great. I feel good. You know, everything, it's almost like, quite literally, of a weight that was lifted off your shoulders. You know, everything kind of just relaxes. And I felt it like up here and here in the top part of my shoulders, and even in the middle of my back. And being able to just, even walking out to my car, I was like, wow, I feel great.
That's kind of cool. And the best analogy I can give to folks is, it's like if you had a screw that had come loose out of the wall, is it doesn't take a sledgehammer to put it back. You just need a screwdriver, just a slight turn, right? And really the anatomy of the area here is very delicate, very small. So these are minor little, we call them upper cervical corrections or adjustments, but they don't involve any manipulative popping or cracking at all, and there's no turning or nothing like that. Any last words that you would say just to folks that have been in the situation that you've been in, to help them along their journey? Any words of encouragement, or just things that you'd want to, any last words for the folks watching?
Well, I would definitely tell them to go. I mean, just look for other options if whatever they're doing is not working, because I was stubborn enough to not, you know, I just kept going to the same doctor that I was going to and doing the same things that I was doing, and they obviously weren't helping, but I was still doing them with the hopes that eventually it would just stop. Because maybe it was just laziness, or maybe it was just because I was ignorant in the sense of not knowing. You know, because this is all brand new to me, and, you know, I thought the chiropractor that I had gone to, you know, she was hesitant about working on my neck, but she was still doing it. So because she was doing it, I just thought it would get better. So I guess you know, there's a lot of people like me in that same position, where they just, maybe they want to be loyal and they don't think, because that was me initially. You know, I came in here and I was like, well, I really don't want to tell my other chiropractor that I'm going to stop going to her because I found a better doctor, because I feel like that's rude, you know, but then I thought about it, and, you know, now sitting here thinking about it too, it's not that it's a better doctor, it's just that it's more concentrated on the area that I had injured, and, you know, she just wasn't familiar with this practice, you know, and it's not her. No, it's just that her work is not focused on that specific area of the neck, and, you know, hearing how fragile it is, and I would be hesitant to work on it too if I didn't have that kind of training. So anybody who is in that position, I would just say look for other options, and not be afraid to try them, because it's better than nothing. You know?
No doubt, and I really appreciate that, Alyssa. I think, in my mind, I always tell folks that we try and get measurable improvement in reasonable time. That's all we can ask in any model of healthcare. And there are different specialities in chiropractic, just like there are in medicine, you know. And so I think you hit it on the head. I think a lot of people need to feel confident taking action. They do have options. And especially if they're plateauing in their current model, then it's totally okay. And that's the thing with chiropractors. We build really good quality relationships with our folks, I like to think. And I think that's how most chiropractors are. But it is okay if you're not progressing to have that honest conversation with them or to look into different options, you know. I mean, I do the same. I like to think we do the same thing, empower our patients the same. Is if they plateau with us, we still want to monitor it from a distance their alignment, make sure that doesn't get hindered at all. But we want to connect them, whether it's with another chiropractor or a physical therapist or a dentist or an ophthalmologist, or to help them in their journey. That's what this is all about, is just empowering people to make really great decisions. But thanks for taking the time.
Yeah,
I really
of course.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
If you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll be replying to the comment section below. Even if you have a question for Alyssa, I'm sure she can pop in and reply. And one of the things too, I always forget to mention this at the beginning of the videos, but please feel free to share it. You know, healthcare is one of those things that's very close vested to a lot of people, or held real close. But you just don't know. You don't know who's in your circle of who's on your friends list, so to speak, that may be having a lot of these issues and they just never told you about it. So please feel free to share it. Really appreciate you watching and taking the time. Thank you for hanging out with us, Alyssa.
Yeah, of course.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye now.